conference. Shabazz Napier and his UConn Huskies have left the Big East. Tayshaun Thomas and his Houston Cougars have said farewell to Conference USA. Welcome to the American Athletic Conference. The curtain goes up next. You're watching the American on ESPN. Tonight we are at Hofheinz Pavilion in Houston, where it will be the 17th ranked UConn Huskies versus the University of Houston Cougars. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Picozzi along with Kara Lawson, who played on the United States gold medal winning team in the Olympics in 2008. Thanks for spending your New Year's Eve with us. Kara, there's always something exciting about every new year, and there's excitement in the air tonight about the beginning of a brand new conference.
Absolutely. I mean, talk about UConn, one of the teams that's been favored to win this conference. They're led by a terrific point guard in Shabazz Napier, and Houston counters with Tayshaun Thomas. He's a low down in the paint. He gets after it on the offensive glass. It's going to be a huge challenge for the UConn front line. And
joining Napier in that starting lineup for UConn, DeAndre Daniels leads the American in free throw shooting, and Ryan Boatwright is a preseason second-team guard in the American Athletic Conference. And for Houston, you mentioned Tayshaun Thomas. He's the only player in the American who's in the top three in scoring and in rebounding, and Tian Womack is shooting 44% from three-point range. This is only the third time these two teams have met each other, and the first time since 2000. Jumping center, Tayshaun Thomas for Houston and Amita Brima for UConn, and we are underway from Hofheinz Pavilion. Houston 8-5, and UConn is 11-1. This is Tian Womack guarded by Napier. Brandon Moss back to Womack. LaRon Barnes is number 4. Thomas sets the high screen. Shot clock down to 3. Down to 2. And McLean got it off, didn't come anywhere near the rim, and the first possession of the game is a shot clock violation.
Well, Tayshaun Thomas is not available. Houston could struggle tonight on the offensive end without 3 key players, 3 players of their rotation, 2 of them in their top 3 in scoring. So it's going to be a challenge for them to score against this stingy UConn defense.
One of those 3, L.B. Rose, is second in the American in assists, and a traveling violation called on DeAndre Daniels. In chatting with Kevin Ollie, the Huskies coach at shoot-around today, Kara, he said Daniels is a terrific player, but he has to play with more consistency. He needs to prove people that they were wrong in not putting him on any of the preseason All-American Athletic Conference teams.
Well, this is the most consistent he's been in his UConn career to this point. And, you know, Kevin Ollie's right. He needs to be a force down there. This UConn team struggles on the glass. They're even in terms of rebounding on the season. DeAndre Daniels needs to give more on that end of the floor from the power forward position.
Blocking foul is called on Amita Brima, first foul of the game. There's James Dickey, the coach of the Cougars, in his 4th year. Also spent 10 years at Texas Tech. And he is, as we mentioned, without L.B. Rose, also without his starting center, J.J. Richardson, and without last year's Conference USA Rookie of the Year, Daniel House. All injured. Hopes to get them back soon, but he said today at shoot-around he doesn't know when. As Napier took it to the rim, he was bumped by Womack, and that will be the first foul on the Cougars.
And this is what makes UConn special. They've got 2 guys. They've got Napier, they've got Boatwright that have that ability in transition to get into the paint. It's something that James Dickey was worried about during shoot-around today. How easily these guards can get into the paint and break the defense down.
On the switch, Womack was no match for Daniels, but the shot was rejected from the weak side by Barnes. Barnes gets it back. Houston won its first 5, then lost to Stanford. UConn's only loss is to Stanford. Around the curl, Barnes takes it right to the rim. Wild shot, didn't even hit the rim. And it went out of bounds off UConn. Shot didn't hit the rim, so the clock didn't recycle. It's at 13.
Well, and UConn doing a really good job of just keeping the Houston players in front, making them make a play over them. I'm not sure there's enough shooters on the floor for the Cougars to make enough plays over this UConn defense throughout the game.
Indeed, playing without those 3 starters. 3rd game in a row without Rose. The 7th without House. The 2nd without Richardson. Barnes with the shot clock running down, and he drills to 3.
And they need that. I mean, that's one of the things that they need. They need a couple players to step up and knock down some outside shots. That's going to loosen the defense up for Tayshaun Thomas in the paint.
Only the 3rd 3 of the season for Barnes. Gaffey getting his 2nd straight start. Had a terrific game in the first start last Saturday against Eastern Washington with 13 points and 4 rebounds. Daniels called for his 2nd traveling violation of the game.
Yeah, happy feet on the catch there for Daniels, and you could tell he looked like he wanted to shoot the basketball, and I think Tayshaun Thomas kind of changed his mind and forced him to shuffle his feet there a little bit. But what you saw there in that play is what UConn loves to do. They love to pick and pop with Daniels because you have to hedge on these guards coming over those screens. You got to hedge on Boatwright. You got to hedge on Napier, and that sometimes leaves you susceptible to that pop, and Daniels can knock that 3-pointer down.
Huskies with 3 players averaging in double figures: Daniels, Napier, and also Ryan Boatwright. Thomas takes it right at Bryma. Bryma is a shot blocker. He's got 34 of them. He's also really a babe in the woods when it comes to basketball experience.
You know, he is. He's gotten in foul trouble early in a couple games this year. He got 2 fouls early against Eastern Washington. It's going to be a tough matchup because Thomas is more of a power forward and has more quickness in terms of facing up.
Now on the switch once again, Daniels found himself guarded by Barnes, and the weak side help was a little late. On that ball screen, Thomas wound up on Boatwright, and Barnes was just no match for Daniels' size. The other end, Thomas goes right at Bryma again, then passes out to Barnes. Womack bothered by Boatwright. Low block Thomas. Passes out of the double team to Barnes. His 2nd 3. We'd like to welcome those of you who just finished watching Memphis beat USF. I'm Bob Picozzi along with Carol Lawson. We are at Hofheinz Pavilion in Houston. The American Athletic Conference opener for UConn and the Houston Cougars. That's Ryan Boatwright missing the 3 for UConn, who was out to trailing Houston 8-2 here in the early going. This is Tayshaun Thomas. Knocks it down. Boy, when he hits from there, Kara, he is tough to handle. Kevin Ollie doesn't like the way things are going and gets an early timeout for the Huskies. Tayshaun Thomas is number 2 in the American Athletic Conference in rebounding, and he's number 3 in scoring. And Kara, let's go to our one-on-one. What do you think is the top priority for these 2 teams as they begin conference play?
Well, as they begin conference play, Bob, 4 through 9 for me for Connecticut. We know the top 3. We know those guys come to play and give them consistent production every night. 4 through 9, those role players, that's what helps you win a conference championship. And for Houston, in tonight's game, ball screen defense is paramount. UConn can be electric in transition, but they'd love to run early drags, ball screens in the half court to get Boatwright and Napier loose. They have to be sound whether they're in their man or in their zone against that.
And the Cougars playing extremely shorthanded, minus 3 starters. L.J. Rose, 2nd in the American in assists. Daniel House, last year Conference USA Freshman of the Year. J.J. Richardson, their starting center, all injured and unavailable tonight. As Daniels took it to the hoop, he was fouled by number 1, Mikhail McLean. That will be the first on him and the 2nd on Cougars. 10-2 Houston.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2014 John R. Wooden Men's Player of the Year Award. Joseph A. Bank, we fit most everyone. JOSbank.com. And AT&T, rethink possible.
Welcome back on this New Year's Eve on a busy basketball night in Houston. The Rockets downtown are hosting the Kings, and Kevin Ollie's UConn Huskies are in town to meet the Houston Cougars. Ollie, in his second year at the helm, has done a terrific job since taking over for Hall of Famer Jim Calhoun, and has UConn off to an 11-1 start in the second year at his alma mater. The free throw line, DeAndre Daniels leads the American in free throw shooting. 89%.
We see a couple of substitutions for Kevin Ollie out of that timeout with his team down 8. Omar Calhoun and Philip Nolan, two players that have been replaced in the starting line. They come in, and we'll see if they can give the Huskies some scoring punch.
Calhoun has started 11 games, Nolan 10. Nolan missed the shoot-around this morning because he had flu-like conditions, but we were told he is ready to go. Coming off his best game of the year off the bench last Saturday against Eastern Washington. He had a career-high 11 points, season-high 6 rebounds. Barnes misses the 3, and the rebound controlled inside by Thomas.
So difficult. I mean, you have to check this guy out every time the ball goes in the air. It's what Kevin Ollie talked about. He's so good. It's almost like a pass to himself when you shoot it at the rim. Tayshaun Thomas attacks the offensive glass. Second
in the league in rebounding at 9 per game. He has been as good early in the non-conference portion of the season as any player in this league.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, his consistency on the glass and scoring the basketball. We've already seen him hit a jump shot and take Brima to the bucket.
Boatwright misses the 3. UConn 0 for 3 from three-point range, but it was last touched by the Cougars. Lasan Chroma, number 20, checks in for UConn, a graduate student and transfer from George Washington. And he gave the Huskies quite a lift off the bench when you saw them against Washington 2 games ago.
They changed the game. I mean, they were so much better defensively when Lasan Chroma came into the game against UW. And, you know, I think that's what Kevin Ollie is trying to find, some energy on the defensive end right now.
Daniels spins and fires, gets his own rebound, and goes right back and had the shot blocked inside by Dan Rad-Knowles. And then Napier gets his quick hands on it and knocks it away. It will be Cougars ball.
You know, Houston is down 3 guys. And you come into this game and UConn, you would think, has the advantage. But the one thing that Houston can do is they've got some athletes. Tayshaun Thomas, Dan Rad-Knowles, those guys can get up and affect shots. So UConn's going to have to adjust on the offensive end.
Good head fake by Stiggers resulted in drawing the foul. Well, the only team carry in the conference with more blocked shots than Houston is UConn.
I think the switching defenses of Houston has affected UConn's rhythm a little bit early. And not only have they kind of toggled between man and zone, but they also have done a little bit of switching man to man. And I think UConn has kind of gotten paralyzed trying to get the ball into that mismatch on the post. UConn's at its best when the ball's moving, it's not sticking, and they're able to get opportunities for Shabazz Napier off of screens.
Foul on Daniels, his first 2 in the team. Defy, number 5, back in the lineup for UConn. Chroma attacks, and we will get a blocking foul. This will be on Mikhail McLean, his first, number 3 on the Cougars.
Well, he talked about the impact that Lasan Chroma can have on the defensive end. On the offensive end, he's a guy that loves to attack, and his aggressiveness is rewarded there with 2 free throws.
Chroma began at George Washington, made the Atlantic 10 all-rookie team as a freshman, then missed his entire second year with a sprained foot. And in 3 years at GW, he scored 1,013 points. Full court pressure. Jerron Simmons gets by Napier. Knowles shoots over Nolan. Rebound Napier. And he leads the Huskies in rebounding. He leads the Huskies in everything.
He does.
Omar Calhoun spins. Shot was contested by Stiggers. And then Nick Calhoun will be called for a foul on the rebound.
You see how everything's one-on-one? I mean, everything for UConn has been one-on-one. And it's just, it's not going to be there. Just, that's a bad shot. That's a tough drive, and it's a bad attempt there by Omar Calhoun.
Well, shoot around this morning, Kevin Ollie said we tend to go through these scoring droughts, and we sort of lose our way. We fail to execute. We have to stop that. Defy off the deflection steals the inbound pass. Napier misses. Rebound inside Nolan. Shot didn't even get to the rim. And then coming away with it is Knowles. Foul on Napier. Number 1 on him and 4 on UConn. The Huskies look like a team that hasn't played since last Saturday.
They started off pretty slowly here on the offensive end. And, you know, Kevin Ollie, knowing him, he's more disappointed with their defense. I mean, 14 points for them in the first 7 minutes and leaving Barnes loose a couple times from beyond the three-point arc. I think he's trying to search and substitute and find a group of 5 guys that's going to work and going to defend here in the half court.
Yeah, Houston shooting 50% from the floor. For the season, UConn opponents are shooting only 38%. Here's a steal, and here's Boatwright. Oh my goodness, can he get up for someone 6 feet? Quickly, Simmons attacks the other way. Thomas gets a lot of his points in transition for a big guy.
Well, he can run the court, and he just tracks the ball so well. That's what makes you know, one trait of making a good rebounder, tracking the ball and understanding where it's going to go, anticipating it.
And Thomas on the switch finds himself guarding the 6-foot Boatwright on the perimeter. See if he tries to go around him. Penetrates and leaves for Nolan. Rebound was kept alive by Stiggers. And here's Morris. And the finish by Simmons. UConn loves to run, but so does Houston. James Dickey told me this week, look, that's what we do. We could try to run and lose by 20, but our best chance of beating anyone is by pushing the pace. And here's another steal. Stiggers by Defy.
They're not just running. I mean, they're just flat out outplaying, out hustling, out toughing UConn right now.
And Kevin Ollie uses his second timeout. The Huskies find themselves down by 12, 8 minutes into this one. A Houston team minus 3 starters who are injured.
Well, defense to offense, and look at the white shirts. I mean, Chroma gives a hustle, but look at the transition from defense to offense. 4 white shirts down there, and you only see 2 UConn defenders. Houston is quicker to the ground. They're quicker to the basketball, and they're intent on trying to pull a huge upset here at home.
James Dickey said, I don't know who we're going to have guard Napier. We really don't have anyone who can stay in front of him for 40 minutes. But so far tonight, Kara, Napier, far and away UConn's best player, has only 2 shots.
Yeah, I mean, he does only have 2 shots. And, you know, we talked about the mixing of defenses and the switches. And so they're switching that screen to not have to allow Napier to get into the paint. And it's worked so far. I mean, it's been tough for these UConn perimeter players to get into the paint.
Chroma to Napier. Boatwright again on the switch, finds himself guarded by Thomas. Bad pass by Chroma. Boatwright runs it down. Still 11 seconds to shoot. Boatwright penetrates, and the foul. Well, it's nice to have guys who can break you down when the offense breaks down. Boatwright will try to make it a 3-point play when we come back.
Coach Greenberg in studio. Chick-fil-A Bowl over on ESPN. Could be Johnny Manziel's final game with Texas A&M. Here on 4th and 4, he finds Travis Labhart for the touchdown. Still, though, Duke with a 28-17 lead late in the first half. Villanova at Butler. Coach, Javon Pinkston's going to give Nova the lead here, but this has been a great game.
Terrific basketball game. Javon Pinkston reminds me of Adrian Dantley from back in the day at Notre Dame.
Now scoring like that right now, giving Nova the 2-point lead, about 3.5 left to go in that one. Bob, Kara?
All right, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Seth. And Kara, speaking of Duke, Mike Krzyzewski with the win today over Elon gives him 968. And he is now tied with Herb McGee for the most career wins on the men's side in all divisions in basketball history. So congratulations to Coach K, who of course broke Bob Knight's Division I record a few years back. speaking of a bowl game, the Houston Cougars will be playing in a bowl game. They'll be playing in the BBVA Compass Bowl this Saturday, 1 o'clock on ESPN against Vanderbilt. As we were leaving shoot-arounds today, the Cougars were taking off for Birmingham. Boatwright completes the three-point play. Not many teams, Kara, have guys who can break you down the way Napier and Boatwright can do in the backcourt.
Well, it's quite the luxury to have two of them, because when you want to get Shabazz Napier some shots, it enables Kevin Ollie to put him off the basketball, run him off screens, and of course in transition, the quickest way to have great transition offense, you've got two different guys, so you can outlet to either side and push it up the floor.
Now the trick is UConn needs a fourth scorer, because Daniels gives them a third. They really haven't had a consistent fourth scorer. Shot clock all the way down to 2, and Simmons knocks it down. Cougars 3 of 5 from three-point range tonight. UConn 0 for 3. Make it 0 for 4. There's something to be said, Kara, for Houston having a couple of games already to adjust to playing without those injured players?
I think it certainly helps. I mean, for Houston, the biggest thing tonight, I think, was going to be, can they make outside shots? And they've done so here in the early going. This is a team that only shoots 34% from beyond the arc, and certainly without J.J. Richardson, you see Daniel House and L.J. Rose. I mean, I think Rose gives you a sturdier player at the point guard position. House is one of their better scorers, and J.J. Richardson helps to provide depth in the post. But, you know, this is a Houston team that, and a Houston program that is excited to be in the American. I mean, this is a step up in terms of level of competition, the types of schools that they're going to be playing. And we talked about with James Dickey, as you take a look at L.J. Rose right there, their starting point guard. Normally, he's out with an injury. This is a great opportunity for them to open conference play and try to get a big win at home.
This is the 6th different league that Houston has played in its history. It's finished a 17-year tour of duty in Conference USA. Daniels, guarded by Thomas, takes it right at him. Thomas got a piece, but he'll be called for his first foul. And whenever Daniels can go to the foul line, that's a good deal for UConn.
Well, this is what DeAndre Daniels can bring you, and I think some of the UConn players thought that Dan Knowles got that on the way down, that it should have been an and one. But his face-up game and a lot of his pick and pops, he can turn and face, shot fake, you drive. He's gotten much more calm in terms of chaos when there's a double team or he picks up his dribble. He's just much more of a polished offensive player here in his junior season.
Spent part of his summer attending the Kevin Durant Nike Skills Camp. Houston by a dozen. Cougars haven't played since beating crosstown rival Rice back on December 21st. This is number 12, Jimmy Jones. He's a walk-on, and that just shows you how short-handed James Dickey is, that Jones has become part of the rotation. Simmons with the runner. Boatwright with the hesitation.
He's tough. He is tough and fearless. I mean, drives in there fearless right at Dan Radnold's body.
Well, they certainly need Boatwright because Napier is yet to score. Stiggers. And he's called for palming. Turnover number 4 for the Cougars. Trauma departs for UConn, and Kevin Ollie going deep into his bench in the first half and putting in number 3, freshman Terrence Samuel. Samuel's only played 54 minutes in 7 games. Daniels with the miss, and Thomas with the rebound. Defy did a nice job of face guarding Knowles. That would have been pass interference in football, but you can do it in basketball.
You know, the front court players for UConn seem to be more affected with the shot blockers than Brian Boatwright's been in driving in the lane. I mean, just thinking and having it alter your shot.
There's a block shot by Gaffai as he rejected Thomas. Stiggers took it away. Thomas gets it back. And Gaffai comes away with it. UConn has numbers here. Napier still looking for his first points. Thomas's basket hanging. Look out. Well, Kevin Ollie told us this morning Thomas gets a lot of his points on rim runs. That was a rim rattler. Napier. Rebound is pulled down by Knowles. Napier 0 for 3. Stiggers. Another 3. The Cougars 4 for 6 from three-point range. And right now they are putting a whooping on the number 17 team in the country.
Wow. I mean, James Dickey could not have drawn this up any better. And how about the body language? I mean, the body language is differing between the two teams. Houston all excited because they got shots going down. And Boatwright.
Where would the Huskies be without him?
Yeah, they'd be in a world of trouble. I mean, he has been the life raft here for their offense in the early going. And, you know, Shabazz Napier has talked a lot about this season about how scoring isn't everything for him, that he likes to get his players involved and that winning is the most important thing. Well, he needs to step up and score right now because UConn will not come back in this game and they won't win if he doesn't become more aggressive and make some shots on the offensive end. Wow, and
Stiggers hits another contested 3. Everything the Cougars are throwing up is going in, hand in the face or not. Houston 5 for 7 from three-point range. And Samuel puts it on the deck, and he will draw the foul.
Houston doing everything right. It's the big fella, Tayshawn Thomas. He's bringing the thunder. Houston up big.
Here to all of you from Houston, Texas, on this first night of play in the American Athletic Conference. And Kara, Houston is 8th in the American in three-point shooting. So how do you explain what we've seen so far in the first 13+ minutes?
Well, LeBron Barnes got them going early, and they got a couple clean looks. And this is a danger when you come out playing a team at home that's an underdog. If you give them a couple of clean looks early, then looks like that start going in from Gerard Stiggers. We see Tayshawn Thomas with the run out. But that's why coaches say contest every shot, play every possession hard, because there are players and there are teams that if you give them a couple open looks, now all of a sudden the basket looks big and they're able to go on some runs.
We'll get a hold on Barnes, his first, and that's 7 on Houston. So that's one way that UConn can try to climb back in this. They'll go to the free throw line for the rest of the half. First up, Niels Gaffai, who's having a monstrous senior season.
He is. He's playing so well. His improvement is really astounding when you look at his numbers from a percentage standpoint. He's not playing any more minutes this season than he did last season, but his efficiency and his ability to score, and he's done a really, really good job of being that fourth option for them so far.
69% from the floor, 66% from three-point range. #1 in the conference in both categories, but this is where UConn has to get the job done at the defensive end. Deflected by Boatwright. Morris in the starting lineup because of all those Houston injuries. Barnes guarded by Gaffai. Shot clock at 10. Low block Thomas. Here's the double team. Gaffai got a hand on it. Turnover number 5 for Houston, and a palming violation on Boatwright.
What do you notice about that first defensive possession for UConn out of the timeout? Deflections. I mean, we saw the activity early. Boatwright got a deflection They're at the top of that pressure in the half court. Just much more activity. The game plan defensively for UConn has been good. The pressure to try and attack Houston without their starting point guard. But the effort's got to be better on the defensive end.
5 turnovers for Houston, 4 for the Huskies. Both in the middle of the pack in turnover margin in the league. It's the first day of play in this new conference. Louisville won at UCF handily, and Memphis an easy winner at USF. Thomas over Giffey, but Barnes with the offensive rebound. Simmons with the miss and Daniels with the rebound. Daniels for 3. The lead is cut to 12. It was 17. All this without any points so far from Shabazz Napier. The UConn team that at times has relied too heavily on Napier. Thomas down low, and a foul will be called, but what a job so far Giffey has done on Thomas.
Well, Giffey and Daniels both, you know, they've done a pretty good job, but this is what UConn has gone to. It's a smaller lineup, and it's been more effective in keeping Houston out of the paint, but this is the disadvantage. This is the weakness, the fact that you either have Giffey or Daniels trying to check Thomas one-on-one, and I'm surprised it took Houston that long to go to him. If they're going to continue to single cover him with one of those two, you got to go to the big fella.
That's the second foul on Napier. Thomas hits the first free throw. His coach James Dickey says Thomas can score around the basket, but where he's really improved is his face-up jumper.
Well, that's what's made him so difficult to defend. And if you want to be somebody that's a consistent scorer night in and night out, you have to have a multifaceted approach to your offensive game, and he has that this season. That's paid big dividends for the Cougars.
Thomas will get a rest, replaced by Mikhail McLean. UConn won its first 9 before losing to Stanford, was ranked as high as number 9. It is now 17th in the country. Omar Calhoun, air ball from the wing. Calhoun has lost for the moment his starting job to Giffey. He did respond well with a solid game off the bench against Eastern Washington last time out. Barnes penetrates, dumps it down low, and the finish by Knoll.
And there's that size advantage again. UConn has gone to play 2. Their power forwards, really. Giffey comes in and plays power forward some. When Daniels comes out, they're playing both of them. They've been better on the perimeter defensively, but they're open there on the front court for some offensive putbacks.
Boatwright with the crossover move. Oh my goodness, is he on fire, and he has scored in so many ways. But there's Barnes right back and one. The Huskies' transition defense has been spotty.
You talk about UConn, and they've got some ground to make up in the transition game, but Houston utilizing the force on the offensive end. Dan Ratnose with the ball.
Cotter in studio along with Coach Greenberg. Land Rover halftime report just around the corner. Louisville started fast, finished strong as they opened up American Athletic Conference play. We'll show you highlights of that game and highlights of Ohio State and Syracuse. Unbeaten at the start of the day, unbeaten at the end of the day. It's coming up on the Land Rover halftime report. Bob, Kara?
Thank you, Chris. Big game for LaQuinton Ross for the Buckeyes today at 25 against Purdue in the Big Ten opener. And the Buckeyes off to a 14-0 start, Kara.
They're so tough defensively in the half court. I mean, obviously led by Aaron Kraft, but they have some terrific defensive players. And what about Louisville with their response today? I mean, losing Shane Bohannon and Kevin Ware, and coming out Russ Smith. He had 24 points, 8 assists. Nice response there by Rick Pitino's crew.
Barnes completes the three-point play. The foul on Omar Calhoun was his second. So Houston has equaled its largest lead of the night at 17. Shabazz Napier still looking for his first points. It's 0 for 4. Daniels draws the double team. Boatwright for 3. Rebound pulled down in the lane by McLean. Houston a year ago went 20-13, finished 7th in Conference USA. Lost in the quarterfinals of the conference tournament. Lob down low and inside McLean with the reverse layup. Perfectly thrown entry pass.
Yeah, see, and Kevin Ollie's going to have to make a decision here because he's going small, but points in the paint. I mean, Houston has 20 of them in this game. When he plays his fives, they were being taken advantage of in terms of being faced up and driven to the basket. So UConn defensively needs to find a way to get sturdier.
Daniels for 3. Rebound pulled down by Knowles. He sat out the first 2 games awaiting NCAA decision making on an eligibility issue. Had to sit out all of last year. And as Simmons put it on the deck, he is fouled from behind. It will be on Chroma, his 2nd and 8 on the team. The Houston bench tonight has been terrific, Kara, outscoring the Huskies bench 18-2.
So aggressive. You know, you have to love Houston's mindset and the way they're playing. And of course, it's easier to have energy and it's easier to play hard play harder defensively when your shots are going in. But they've been quicker to lose balls. They've attacked the glass on the offensive and defensive ends. I mean, they have dominated UConn.
This trip didn't start out very well for UConn. Their charter flight left Hartford an hour and 45 minutes late yesterday. They switched to a larger plane. It took a while to refile the flight plans. Then when they got to Houston, the folks at the Houston airport weren't aware that they had a bigger plane and they had no staircase to greet the plane on the tarmac, and they waited another 45 minutes when they landed. And it's continued with this 45-24 deficit with 2:15 to go in the half as Napier turns it over.
Yeah, I'd say there's been about a 45-minute delay in their game that they brought to the gym tonight. I mean, they've just lack of energy, lack of communication, and you got to try and fix this in these last 2 minutes and 15 seconds. You can't wait for that halftime, for that pep talk.
This is the first game of a 2-game Texas tour for UConn. They'll fly tomorrow to Dallas and play SMU in the Mustangs' first conference home game on Saturday. Kevin Ollie says reminds him of his NBA days when he would play the Rockets and the Spurs in back-to-back nights.
Yeah, that wasn't easy.
Jimmy Jones, the walk-on, knocked away by Napier. Shot clock all the way down to 6. Morris chased by Tyler Olander, gets it up and over Olander. Never hit the rim, but it last touched by Houston. The last time Tyler Olander was in Houston, he was in the starting lineup in the NCAA championship game in 2011, 9 miles from here at Reliance Stadium. Shabazz Napier and Niels Gaffey also on that team. Kevin Ollie, an assistant coach. The night the Huskies beat Butler for their 3rd national championship. This is the first time they've been back in Houston. Napier still looking for his first points. Napier got a hand on that. Kick out. Jones. Down low Knowles. Lost the handle to Olander. 1 minute to go in a forgettable first half for UConn. Boatwright. Gaffey is yet to shoot tonight.
How quick is Houston closing out the shooters? I mean, they understand in this man-to-man action that UConn has some players that can knock them down from 3, and they are staying attached.
No, Boatwright's quicker than Thomas, penetrates, and then the easy dish to Olander.
Yeah, there's no way to stay attached to that guy when he wants to get to the basket. Ryan Boatwright, he has been the only bright spot for UConn on the offensive end.
James Dickey will, with his first half use it or lose it timeout, and he'll draw something up with 31 seconds left, in his club up by 19. On Thursday, get ready for 2 big-time conference rivalry games. First at 7 o'clock Eastern, the Big Ten Conference leading number 4 Wisconsin Badgers will take on the Wildcats. Then at 9, it's out to the West Coast Conference with St. Mary's versus 24th ranked Gonzaga. Wisconsin Northwestern, St. Mary's, Gonzaga, Thursday at 7 and 9 on ESPN2. And the remaining unbeatens around the country include Wisconsin, And they also include Ohio State with that win earlier today.
I'll tell you, he's a really impressive team. It's Dana Altman's team, the Oregon Ducks, and they recently got back Dominic Artis and Ben Carter. They have a ton of depth. Actually, Joseph Young, a transfer from here in Houston, is doing a great job shooting the basketball. They're deep. They don't have a star, but they just have a lot of really talented players. Another transfer, Mike Moser, so they're going to be a tough out. Arizona's a favorite in the Pac-12, but don't be surprised if Oregon walks away with that Pac-12 regular season.
Let's see what James Dickey dialed up in that huddle. Boatwright pressuring Simmons, and then a reach-in foul will be called. Boatwright was on one side, Giffey on the other, and it will be on Boatwright. His first. Number 9 on the Huskies, so to the line, Stiggers will shoot the 1-and-1. McLean will replace Thomas. James Dickey doesn't want his best player picking up an unnecessary foul with 20 seconds left. And Shabazz Napier will re-enter since the ball will come back to the Huskies. Stiggers played 1 year of high school football, and he made it count. He was a wide receiver, and he had 20 catches for 426 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's their best three-point shooter. Leads the team with 24 of them. One for 2. Rebound Napier with 18 seconds left. Can Shabazz Napier really go an entire half without scoring? Well, we'll have a chance to get on the board from the line. The foul on Stiggers, his second, 8 on the team. And among the many things that Napier does well is shoot free throws. He's 82.8%, 8th best in the American.
I'll tell you what else he does well. He tilts his head back like that when he gets contact on the drive. You know who did that well was Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker used to do that so well. That UConn uniform, just on the attack, and he feels contact. Just drop that head back real quick and just help the officials see that there was a little contact on the drive.
Well, we mentioned the last time UConn was in this city was in the national championship game. Kemba Walker didn't play badly that night with 16 points and 9 rebounds in 37 minutes. Of course, they rode his back to that remarkable run to the NCAA title. And Kevin Ollie will get Napier out of the game. Doesn't want him picking up his 3rd foul in the final 4.8 seconds. Replaced by Terrence Samuel. Knowles to Simmons. Stops at the foul line. And that's about the only thing that went wrong for the Houston Cougars in their first half in a brand new conference. They have been terrific, shooting the lights out from 3-point range, 5 for 8, and outscoring UConn on the break 13-2. At the half, Houston 46, UConn 28. Let's go to the studio. Chris Cotter and Seth Greenberg. They have the halftime report presented by Land Rover. Houston led by as many as 21, and the Cougars have an 18-point lead at halftime in the conference opener for Houston and UConn. Welcome back to Hopkins Pavilion in Houston. Happy New Year's Eve. I'm Bob Pikozik, along with 11-year WNBA veteran Carol Lawson. Carol, what in the world happened in the first half of the Huskies?
I mean, UConn lethargic. They came out with no energy defensively. They allowed Houston to get into the paint, hit outside shots. I mean, Kevin Ollie has to be beside himself, and I anticipate in the first 5 minutes we see a different UConn team defensively.
And if we take a look at the stats, Houston killed the Huskies off the bench. Look at that, 23-4 points in the paint, 20-10, and Houston wound up scoring 3 more 3-point field goals in 2 fewer attempts, and they did a great defensive job, Kara, on one of the best guards in the country, Shabazz Napier.
And Shabazz Napier couldn't get it going. Ryan Boatwright, the young man with the ball right there, he was the only Husky player on the offensive end that found a way to get into the teeth of the defense and score.
This is Napier, and that's his first field goal of the night. It took 20 minutes and 12 seconds to get it. He got his first points of the night when he went to the free throw line in the final seconds of the half. Brandon Morris. Lasan Chroma starts the second half instead of Giffey. The foul will be called on Tyler Olander. Olander also beginning the second half with the first unit.
Kevin Ollie going with The players he thinks can be the most active defensively and communicate. I mean, he needs his post players to communicate on the defensive end. Let's see if Tyler Olander can handle Tayshawn Thomas here.
We saw Amita Brima for only 4 minutes in the first half. He played only 2 minutes in the game last week against Eastern Washington. He got 2 quick fouls. He played only 5 minutes rather. He didn't go back in. Thomas spins and fires. And on the rebound, it's last touched by Boatwright.
Well, you saw right there, that's a really good possession by Tyler Olander defensively, one-on-one. He was quick enough to not let Thomas get by him, and then he was big and strong enough to not allow himself to be dislodged there on the block.
Cross-court pass, great anticipation by Napier. He has Daniels to the right, but Napier's called for turning the ball over. I didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything either.
6th turnover for UConn. That hasn't been the problem. Transition defense has been a problem. Defensive rebounding's been a problem, and three-point defense has been a problem.
Yeah, everything with defense after has been a problem. Rebounding, defense, I mean everything. Problem in the first half.
The foul will be called on Mikhail McLean setting the screen. That's his second and one on the Cougars this half. For those of you joining us late, Houston playing without 3 starters. Point guard L.B. Rose missing his 3rd straight game with a foot injury. Daniel House, Conference USA Rookie of the Year last year, missing his 7th straight with a knee. Starting center J.J. Richardson, his 2nd straight game missed with a foot injury. And Napier, 2 for 2 to start the second half.
Yeah, that's what he can do. And this is the Shabazz Napier that we didn't see in the first half. It's a great sign for UConn on the offensive end that he is in attack mode on that end of the floor here to start the second half.
Thomas. Contested 3 is no good by Morris. He had Boatwright's hand in his face. Already, Carol, we see it's a different UConn team in a couple of minutes here. Much more energy.
Absolutely, much more energy. You see him sprinting the floor. Both Daniels and Olander tried to get out and be the first post down, but it's 3 possessions in a row now that Tyler Olander has handled his assignment, and Tayshawn Thomas pushed him off the block and not letting him get easy looks.
Daniels down low, spins, then goes the other way, gets his own rebound, loose on the floor, and Barnes came away with it. 2-on-2. Morris goes by Olander, and the putback by Thomas. Thomas really runs the floor well for a 6'8" guy. $14 points for Thomas. And the foul will be called on Morris. That's his first and 2 on the team. James Dickey in his 4th year. Is the 6th different league that Houston has played in its history. And over the years, the Cougars are 27 and 25 in conference openers. Olander, low block, passes out of the double team. Napier. Rebound, LaRon Barnes. Nearly traveled. Kevin Ollie thought he did. Thomas. And on the kick out, the 3 is no good by Womack. And we'll get a rebound foul on the Cougars. It will be on McLean, and it's his 3rd and 3 on the team.
Houston hit everything in that first half, particularly from beyond the 3-point arc. And so we see now in the second half for the Cougars, shots not going down. How do they respond? How do they battle defensively? We're going to get a little zone look here from Houston.
Well, James Dickey told us at shoot-around today, he said, look, we can't play 40 minutes of man-to-man against this team. They're just too good at dribble penetration. The shot from the perimeter no good by Chroma, but an offensive rebound by Olander, who's really giving the Huskies a spark. Boatwright for three. Didn't mean to kiss it off the glass, but they all count, and like that, UConn is pulled within 12. It was 21. Contested shot. Olander did a nice job, and it will go back to the Huskies. Knowles will come back up. Well, we're in Houston. There's a huge story with another Houston team, the Texans. Chris Cotter will have that from the studio after this timeout.
Cotter in studio. Breaking news from the NFL. According to our Adam Schefter and Chris Mortensen, Bill O'Brien has reached an agreement to become the new head football coach for the Houston Texans. This all per league sources. The deal is expected to be announced no later than Saturday. Full coverage on SportsCenter right now on ESPN News, and after the game right here on ESPN2. Meanwhile, Johnny Manziel, look at this play. He's doing his best to bring Texas A&M back at the Chick-fil-A Bowl on ESPN. Still not done. Eventually finds Travis Labhart for the touchdown. Labhart's third of the day, but it's 38-24 right now. Duke on top in the third quarter. Bob, Kara?
All right, Chris, thank you. We're just 9 miles from Reliance Stadium, where apparently Bill O'Brien will be coaching the Texans next year. And Kara, let the speculation begin. Greg Schiano, of course, was an assistant under Joe Paterno at Penn State. Always considered Penn State his dream job. He's suddenly out of work, fired by Tampa Bay on Monday.
I'd say that's a good fit.
How about Mike Munchak? Backdoor cut out of the timeout, and Boatwright scores. And just like that, that 21-point lead at the half has been trimmed to 10. What's been the difference, Kara?
Defensively, you know, you cut into a lead by getting stops, not necessarily by scoring. And so UConn has come out very determined on the defensive end. Their activity level has been raised, and that's been the difference.
Knowles took a wild shot. Thomas got the rebound. He was tied up, but we're going to get a foul. Olander thought there was a held ball, but instead we'll get a foul.
Well, the difference for UConn here, Tyler Olander starts the second half, and his strength and his ability to keep Tayshaun Thomas in front. Look where the catch is. The catch is off the block, outside the paint. He forces him to kick it out. Very focused and determined Olander has been, and that's forced other players for Houston to step up and shoot shots. Remember in the first half, UConn was so worried about Thomas on the inside that they got open looks at the three-point line. They haven't gotten as many here in the second half.
Niels Gaffey enters for UConn. He played 15 minutes in the first half and did not take a shot. Of course, Tyler Olander has been a big part of this UConn program. He started 21 games on that national championship team as a freshman. Started 26 games last year. He's slipped in the depth chart this year. Chroma was whacked in the head as he took that to the rim, and he'll go to the line.
You know, he started this game talking about what was key for UConn as we see Chroma with a nice leak out. Now we're talking about Houston's transition defense. For a stretch there, it was UConn, a long stretch that wasn't getting back. That's just a poor job by Houston. What he talked about at the top of the show, what does UConn need to do to win this conference? And it really comes down to players 4 through 9. And that's where a player like Tyler Olander really comes in and can make a difference. He made a difference defensively. He helped out his team and helped them trim the lead by not scoring a bucket.
Olander will get a rest as Daniels went back in. Off the missed free throw, Morris's shot is swatted away by Chroma. Here's Boatwright in transition. Napier, deep three. And UConn has trimmed it to single digits. It's now an 8-point lead, and James Dickey wants timeout. A 21-point lead down to 8 after only 5:08 of the second half.
Oh, that's the UConn team that we've seen for the better part of this season. Electric in transition. Great block there by Chroma. Boatwright pass to Napier for the open three. That's how they need to play to be successful. Fast and utilizing their multi-skilled guards. UConn cutting into this lead. They've cut it down to 8.
Houston Cougars with an 8-point lead over UConn. Houston has been to 5 Final Fours in its glorious history. And the star of stars on the first 2 of those Final Four teams is that man, Elvin Hayes scored 2,884 points. Remember, you could only play 3 years of varsity basketball back then. Took Houston to the national semifinals. And earlier tonight, a little conversation with Moses Malone, who played on the 1981 Houston Rockets, which went to the NBA Finals. Of course, Moses was on the 1983 champion 76ers, and Elvin was on the 1978 champion Washington Bullets. Both members of the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Here's Daniels on the steal. Womack tried to cut him off. Napier with the tip in. And the lead is down to 6. It's like the court is tilted, Kara.
Well, Houston now, they're the team that looks disjointed on the offensive end. No rhythm, turning the basketball over and allowing UConn to cut into this deficit.
15-3 Huskies run to begin the half. Simmons thought about it, penetrates, then gives to Thomas, but he juggled the pass, and it went off him and out of bounds. James Dickey imploring his troops to calm down and get a stop. I think calm is probably the best word to describe the head coach of the Cougars. Defy, who's yet to shoot tonight, finds Napier the cutter, faked the pass, had the shot blocked, but drew the foul. It will be on Tayshaun Thomas, his second.
Complete opposite to what we saw in the first half. As you see Thomas get Napier around the neck right there. Yeah, UConn in the first half, a lot of one-on-one, a lot of standing. And here in the second half, when you run, even if you don't get a shot in transition, like we saw Napier hit a 3 in transition, even if you don't get that shot, you loosen up the defense and you're able to run your stuff a little bit better if you run into your sets. And I think that's what Kevin Ollie was imploring his team to do in the first half, is to run into their offense, sprint the basketball up the floor. And they've done that here in the first 6 minutes of the second half.
Kevin Ollie reinserts Olander, replacing Daniels. Napier leads the conference in assists. He's 4th in three-point shooting, 5th in steals, 8th in scoring, 8th in free throw shooting, and 10th in rebounding. Other than that, he hasn't done a thing to help UConn out to an 11-1 start. So the Huskies have trimmed what was a 21-point lead in the first half, 18 at the half, to just 4, and they've done it after just 6 minutes and 12 seconds of playing time in the second half. We've seen this from UConn before.
This is a UConn team, I think, that is still playing in spurts, and they have to understand how hard you have to play defensively if you want to be a championship level team, if they want to win this conference. And we're seeing that they have it in them to play this hard defensively.
Knowles down low, missed the shot. Here's Napier. He has Chroma on the right and Boatwright also trailing. He takes it himself to the rim. And the lead is 2. Preceded by a terrific defensive possession for UConn, who contested 2 shots. Here's a steal by Boatwright. It's a 3-on-2. Gaffai ties it. And another timeout for Houston.
What a play by Ryan Boatwright. And that was just a tremendous defensive effort by the junior guard. I mean, just one-on-one defensively taking it. And UConn with all the momentum right now. I mean, this is a tough one-on-one play and finish by Shabazz Napier, but Ryan Boatwright, he steals the basketball, finds Niels Gaffai in transition. The UConn bench is excited. It's a pretty quick erasing of that halftime lead by the Houston Cougars.
21-3 UConn run to begin the second half. 23-3 run when you include the free throws at the end of the first half. ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, the season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament, will continue on Tuesday. 2 Big Ten heavyweights collide. It will be Aaron Craft and 3rd-ranked Ohio State against Keith Appling and 5th-ranked Michigan State. ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic. The Buckeyes are in the top 10. In fact, Big Ten teams Kara occupy spots 3, 4, and 5 in the top 10.
What a matchup. What a matchup that's going to be next Tuesday night.
Gary Harris, Big Ten preseason player of the year for Michigan State. Aaron Croft earlier this season became the Buckeyes all-time career leader in assists. Now can Houston find a way to stop the bleeding here? Stiggers, who had a terrific first half, takes a wild shot, and Olander gets the rebound. Here's Napier to Boatwright for the lead. Olander tip, no good. Will have a foul. It will be on, which way are they going to call it? It's on Chroma, which had nothing to do with the rebound. So Chroma picks up his third, and that's only 3 on the Huskies this half. But Kevin Ollie told us today, look, our team needs to play hard and play smart and execute for 40 minutes, not just in spurts of 5 or 6 or 7 minutes. And we've seen a classic example of the good UConn and the bad UConn tonight within the same game.
And you have to credit the team for coming out at halftime. I mean, Kevin Ollie's, gonna, I'm sure, share with them. You can't continue to do that. As Thomas hits that jumper in the lane, you can't continue to do this night after night if you're Connecticut, particularly on the road, because you're not always going to be able to come back. Right. Houston has helped them get back in this game.
Thomas regains the lead for the Cougars. A lot of contact inside Daniels and Simmons. Daniels can't go. Olander's follow no good. Rebound Stiggers. One of the big differences this half is Houston can't run because they keep fishing the ball out of the net at the other end.
Absolutely.
Here's Stiggers for 3. Rebound Daniels.
And they haven't been able to hit those threes. I mean, that was a good look for Stiggers in the first half. He was knocking those down.
Napier off balance shot, offensive rebound Daniels, but then he lost the handle. Here's Stiggers going at Napier, and Knowles from the wing. And now Kevin Ollie wants a timeout. So UConn came all the way back to tie, and out of the Houston timeout, the Cougars scored the next 4 points, and UConn will talk things over.
Well, Tayshaun Thomas, he's the go-to guy for the Houston Cougars, and we talked about the good job that Tyler Olander had done in the first part of that second half, but he just attacks him and is able to finish over pretty good defense. And Stiggers with a nice pass to Dan Knowles. So a nice bounce back here for Houston after that huge spurt by UConn. Houston has bounced back and retaken the lead.
This would be a huge win for this Houston program, team that hasn't been to the NCAA tournament in 3 years. And big changes are coming here at Houston, positive changes. They're about to begin a process where they are soliciting bids from a contractor who will get the contract to build a new practice facility, and then will renovate Hofheinz Pavilion, which was built in 1969. Could use an upgrade. It seats 8,400 people. And now as they begin anew in a brand new conference with the likes of UConn and Louisville and Memphis, the hope is they can regenerate some excitement in what is a terrific basketball town in what was once a very, very proud basketball program. Defy for 3. Rebound Thomas. 7th rebound of the night for Thomas. Defy rebounds to miss him. Here's Boatwright. He has Calhoun to his right. Leads for Calhoun. And Calhoun's called for the travel. And that'll bring us to an official timeout. Houston led by 21. It's now a 4-point lead. Watching the American on ESPN, and on the night of the conference opener for UConn, coach Kevin Ollie talks about his All-American guard, Shabazz Napier.
His basketball IQ is off the charts. He plays with a poise. He plays with confidence. Of course, he can shoot the basketball. He's a clutch player, and he believes in himself. He thinks he's the best guard in America.
Shabazz Napier 0 for 5 from the floor, 2 points in the first half, 5 for 7 from the floor, 5 for 12 from the floor rather, and 14 points in the second half. There are a lot of reasons why UConn overcame that 21-point deficit, but Napier is the biggest one.
No, I think he's the best player in the conference, and certainly Russ Smith might have something to say about it, but you talk about a player that leads his team in points, in rebounds, and assists. I think he controls tempo. He understands how to move defenders with his eyes. He just has a total court game.
Since UConn began keeping track of assists back in the early 70s, no player has ever led the team in scoring, rebounding, and assists for an entire season. Of course, Kevin Ollie would also add to that, I don't want my guards leading my team in rebounding.
Yes. And that's an issue for UConn as they move forward, is they have to be able to be even on the boards and get some more rebounding from their 3 and 4 players.
Shot clock down to 2. Terrific defensive set there for the Huskies. Here's Boatwright. Houston does a good job of getting back. Houston is yet to hit a 3 this half. 0 for 4. Boatwright penetrates, then gave to Gaffey. The lead is 2. Stiggers. Low block Thomas. Womack finds Thomas underneath. He saw the mismatch. Boatwright was on him on a switch.
Yeah, that's a great look there. There's some guards that are having to be on Tayshaun Thomas just for split seconds within that defense in rotation, and Houston just found the right timing to give it to him.
Napier literally directing traffic. Gaffey sets the screen for Boatwright. Running the baseline was Chroma. Counted in the foul.
What a pass. What a pass by Ryan Boatwright right there. I mean, he played the defense. Nice look away, and Tayshaun Thomas not there in time. Nice cut there by Lasan Chroma.
3rd foul on Thomas, too.
And I like this substitution here by Kevin Ollie, because just too small on the back line defensively. With Thomas in the game, and now it looks like Thomas is going to get a breather. UConn has struggled on the glass without Tyler Olander in the game here in the second half. The last player to play in the first half off the UConn bench was Tyler Olander, and he's been the most important player here in the second half.
Well, we chatted with Kevin Ollie at shoot-around today. We said, any change in the lineup? He said no. And asked him about Brime only playing 5 minutes the other day. He said, well, you know, he picked up 2 fouls, but that's not the reason he played 5 minutes. He played 5 minutes. I said, you have to, if I'm going to put you on the floor, you have to rebound. So Brime has played 4 minutes tonight. Haven't seen him at all in the second half.
And he's not in foul trouble.
And he's not in foul trouble, right? Of course, Houston forced to go with a more perimeter-oriented lineup with the injuries. Olander incredulous at yet another foul call on him. That will be his 3rd, and 4 on UConn this half. Simmons to inbound baseline. Houston will head to Tampa to meet USF in its 2nd conference game on Saturday, while UConn heads to Dallas to play SMU. Knowles shoots over Olander, hits the tough off-balance shot. So Houston has sort of regathered its thoughts after seeing the 21-point lead disappear completely, and is now up 3 inside the 8-minute mark. Daniels on the drive, and he'll draw the foul. Daniels, the best free throw shooter in the American.
Danrad Knowles is trying to give Houston a lift with Tayshaun Thomas off of the bench. UConn's made a run, but Houston been able to stymie it.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the perfect combination of chocolate and peanut butter.
Happy New Year to you from Houston, Texas. First night of the American Athletic Conference for these 2 programs. UConn has outscored Houston in the second half in points off turnovers 9-0. Tayshaun Thomas with 3 fouls left the lineup a moment ago. He will re-enter following this timeout. So what do you think Kevin Ollie was telling the troops during that timeout? What does UConn have to do in this last 7:45 to complete the comeback and get out of here with a win?
Play with the same activity that they have been on the defensive end, and it's hard to do because you expend a lot of energy. And you know, UConn has plenty more left in the tank because they didn't play hard in the first 20 minutes. So this is not a case of, you know, them catching up and then all of a sudden not having anything left. They didn't expend a lot in that first half.
Daniels at the line. He was fouled by McLean, and it was number 4 on McLean. And Daniels misses a free throw, a true rarity. It's only the 4th one he's missed this year. Four for 5 from the line tonight. 28 for 32 for the season. Napier deflected the pass. Houston gets it across. Knowles guarded by Daniels. Takes it right to him in the lane and then follows his own miss. Knowles last year, when he did not gain eligibility clearance from the NCAA, enrolled at the University of Houston downtown, didn't play basketball there. When he was declared eligible this year, he will have 4 years of eligibility. He has a lot of potential. Very heavily recruited. Houston has big plans for him. Boatwright, great pump fake. Thomas runs the floor again. He's doubled inside. The shot was blocked. And here's Chroma. Napier fakes right through the contact. Kevin Ollie said his basketball IQ is off the charts. There was a good illustration.
So under control. I mean, he's able to scan the floor, read what he wants to do, and get the Houston player up in the air. And Kevin Ollie is giving DeAndre Daniels an earful. And the reason why he's giving him an earful is anytime a Houston front court player tonight has attacked the basket with force, Daniels has not been able to stop it. And this is an issue for a UConn team, the front court, from the beginning of the season until now. Can they find the right combination of guys to be physical, to rebound the basketball, to defend the paint? That's what they've got to find moving forward.
We asked Kevin at shoot-around today if there was a level of excitement for his team surrounding this first game in a new conference, and he said, this is a business trip for us. Tonight at Houston, Saturday at SMU, we're on this trip for 2 reasons, to get 2 wins. We play a lot of big games. Off the alley-oop. Knowles is really giving them a lift off the bench.
He has. I mean, this is the best I've seen him look all season long, Dan Knowles. And, you know, it gives them that extra player in the front court that can score the basketball when he's in tune on the offensive end.
Boatwright over Thomas. Rebound knocked over the end line. Last touch by Defy. Kevin Ollie is asking Brian Kersey to get some help.
Now, this level of athleticism, we talked about the front court. I mean, Dan Knowles just is a superior athlete. He can block shots. He's a high riser there in the half court. I mean, just a nice looking prospect for James Dickey.
Foul on Napier. It's his 3rd. Five on UConn here in the second half. 5:58 left. 2-point game. It was a 21-point Houston lead in the first half. It was an 18-point lead after half. And a foul called on Knowles, setting the screen. His 2nd, and 8 on the team. Make it 9 on the team.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, cannot do that. Cannot extend beyond the shoulder width of the body into a defender. And Napier, that's a long 2. And we're tied again.
I know you want to run offense if you're UConn, but if they continue to switch those ball screens, just back it up, let Napier or Boatwright attack the big that switches on to them.
18 for Napier. Here's the double team for Thomas. And the foul will be called on Defy. So Defy at 6'7", being asked to try to guard the bigger and much stronger Thomas. He's done a pretty good job. Barnes. Olander back in, and he's guarding Thomas now. Womack leaves for Barnes. Knowles looking down low for Thomas. Instead shoots from the perimeter and knocks down a three.
Wow.
His third of the season in only 9 attempts. Boatwright with the pull-up in traffic. Long rebound to Napier. 4:45 left. Cougars by 3. Trying to pull off an upset. Yes, they're at home, but yes, they're also without 3 injured starters. And they're playing the 17th ranked team in the country. Napier, deep 3 for the top.
How tough is that kid? I mean, Shabazz Napier, just tough as nails. Anytime UConn needs a bucket here in the latter stages of the game, you can bet they're going to go to that young man right there.
19 second half points for Napier. Thomas, guarded by Olander, puts it on the floor, spins and shoots over it. Rebound to Chroma. Inside the 4-minute mark, UConn with a chance for the lead. Olander sets the screen. Daniels for 3. Got it. First lead of the night for the Huskies. And it took 36.5 minutes to get it. Timeout Houston. 3:28 left. And UConn by 3. How much does the Cougars have left in the tank?
They certainly have to have the wind knocked out of their sails a little bit, allowing this lead to diminish and allowing UConn to take it. But just a well-played pick and roll action by Shabazz Napier. He just waited and waited for Daniels to come up beyond that 3-point line, and that's what Daniels gives you as that 4 player, the ability to knock down that 3-point shot.
Thursday, get ready for 2 big-time conference rivalry games. First at 7 in the Big Ten. It will be 4th-ranked Wisconsin against Northwestern. Then at 9 o'clock, Coast Conference, St. Mary's against 24th-ranked Gonzaga. Wisconsin, Northwestern, St. Mary's, Gonzaga, Thursday at 7 and at 9 on ESPN2. Frank Kaminsky shooting 56% from the floor, averaging 14 points for the Wisconsin Badgers. Are you at all surprised at the start that Bo Ryan's team is off to?
I'd say I'm surprised that they're undefeated, yes, if I looked at the schedule to start the year. But, you know, this is a team that's got experience. I love Sam Decker. He's a player on the wing that can really score the basketball. And you know Bo Ryan's teams, they're going to defend.
Out of the timeout, Houston with the ball down for the first time tonight. Inside, and Stiggers, how did he get such an easy look?
This is just a great set play. We saw Kevin Ollie run a really good set play to get Ryan Boatwright a dunk here in the second half. That's a great call play by James Dickey. Little screen to get Stiggers open on the block. Stiggers now draws Napier. Look at him away from the ball. He doesn't care. He's going to face guard him, use his physicality to try not to let him catch it.
Boatwright on the switch went around Thomas, missed the shot, got the rebound while sitting on the floor, and had the presence of the mind to get a timeout to avoid a held ball. 1 timeout left for each team with 2:45 left and a 1-point Huskies lead. Well, Johnny Football takes on Duke in what could be his final college game, and the Blue Devils came out swinging. Get live post-game reaction from Mansell, and we will relive his most memorable moments. Was it his final college game? Kevin Durant goes off against the Blazers as the West's best clash in OKC. And we'll count down the top plays of 2013. Join Scott Van Pelt and John Butchergross on SportsCenter immediately following UConn and Houston. The top plays of 2013. Might see Auburn in there a couple times. Auburn football. What do you think?
I think so. I think they'll be there.
Kevin Ollie has established early in his very young head coaching career that he is terrific in these situations with calling plays out of timeouts. What do you suppose he might have dialed up?
Well, you know, I think you got to look for Napier and Boatwright here down the stretch if you're Kevin Ollie. But, you know, so much of that is a nod to his NBA playing career. So many out of timeout plays, played 13 years in the league, and that's what you do down the stretch, timeouts and drawing up plays and put your guys in a great position.
Played for 15 different coaches, including Hall of Famers like Larry Brown and Chuck Daly. Boatwright to Napier around the curl. That's a 2. And the lead is up to 3 with 2:20 to go. Napier with 23 points, 21 of them in the second half. Let's see if Houston goes to Thomas. One-on-one with Olander. Spin toward the baseline where he couldn't draw a double team. Gets his own rebound, then missed the dunk, but drew the foul. Olander's fourth. That will bring us to an official timeout.
Well, execution down the stretch a lot of times involves some good screening. UConn got some, but they're not able to defensively keep Thomas. He goes to the free throw line.
UConn trailed by 18 at the half. The Huskies now lead by 3. And the biggest difference, Kara, was Shabazz Napier. 2 points in the first half, 23 this half.
Well, we saw him come out very aggressive, and this is what UConn needed. I mean, down by that margin, he needed to step up as their leading scorer, their best playmaker. He has done that here in the second half. Got himself going a little bit, but he's also found some teammates for crucial buckets down the stretch. He's a major reason on the offensive end that UConn is back in this thing and leading.
Ryan Boatwright has also helped with a season-high 19 points.
You know, this is why I think Shabazz Napier is the best player in this conference. I mean, look at that line. 25 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. And we said it earlier in the game, Bob, he leads UConn in scoring, rebounding, and assists. At 6'1", point guard.
And he had a triple-double earlier this season against Yale. Only the 10th in UConn history and his second. Thomas at the line, shooting 2. Napier on the preseason watch list for the Wooden Award, the Oscar Robertson Award. And it's a preseason first-team All-American Athletic Conference choice. Thomas, preseason second-team All-Conference. All right, 1-point game, 2 minutes left. Stiggers guarding Napier. Napier comes around the Olander screen. Step back, draws the contact, and gets to the line.
That's the second time in this half he's gotten a guy on a shot fake, and that was a double shot fake. The second time he got Stiggers up in the air, and just so composed. And you know, Shabazz Napier plays off of your strengths defensively, over aggression. If you try to be too aggressive with him, he's going to attack you or he's going to give you the up fake. And because he has every phase of the offensive game, whether it's a three-point shot, a mid-range, and a drive, you have to respect his fakes.
7 for 7 from the line. Kevin Ollie reinserts Defy, replacing Daniel. Three-point lead, 1:43 left. Olander will guard Thomas. Defy on Knowles. Stiggers. Thomas battling for position in the low block with Olander. Jerron Simmons. Stiggers with Napier's hand in his face. It didn't matter. And we're tied with 1:10 left. Terrific three with a hand in his face. What a game we've got going here in the first conference game in this brand new league for these two teams. Kevin Ollie's got one more timeout to use. Boatwright behind the Defy screen. Hands to Napier with 9 on the shot clock. Napier long three. Rebound Knowles with 38 seconds left. Will James Dickey use a timeout here? He wants it. 29 seconds left. 26 on the shot clock. Cougars ball, tie game.
I thought they missed a couple opportunities to get Tayshaun Thomas the ball, but he reverses it to Gerard Stigers, and what a tough shot. I mean, that was well contested by UConn defensively. This has been quite the roller coaster here. Houston tying it up. What a ball game here.
So will James Dickey do the obvious and try to go into the low block to Thomas? And the second part of that question, will UConn do anything differently defensively on Thomas if that happens?
I think you got to bring a double. I really do. And you got to live with a contested three-point shot on the backside off of rotation. I don't think you can allow Thomas to go one-on-one. And the further that Tyler Olander can push Thomas off of the block, off the lane line, that really decreases the amount that the help defender has to go. So that's why pushing out that post player can help you double team more effectively. But absolutely, I try to establish Thomas here.
And if he does double, also look for Knowles, who's very dangerous off the offensive glass if Thomas misses.
Absolutely.
UConn's only lost to Stanford. Houston won its first 5 before losing to Stanford.
You know, the other option Kevin Ollie has here too is he could come out in the zone. He could come out in the zone look if he wanted to, just to try and change the pace. But he'd have to be really big on that back line. I don't think he'll do that just because it'd be Chroma and Giffey there on that back line of that zone.
And if he did, James Dickey doesn't have the option of calling another timeout to come up with a different play against the zone. Houston out of timeouts, UConn with 1 timeout left. Here we go. About exactly 3 seconds difference between the shot clock and the game clock. Olander's on Thomas. Defy is on Knowles. Thomas on the perimeter. Thomas sets the screen for Womack. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Thomas up high, puts it on the deck, takes it toward the rim. No good, but he'll draw Olander's 5th foul, and he'll go to the line with 9.2 seconds left and a chance for the lead.
Wow. I'll be honest, I didn't see any contact there, Bob.
So what does Kevin Ollie do here? Does he go with Daniels? Hasn't played Brime at all in the second half. Brime is just so green when it comes to basketball experience. Didn't begin playing until he was 15. Grew up playing soccer in Ghana. Might not be the situation where he would necessarily trust using Brime because of that inexperience.
Well, more so because it's going to be an offensive end running back, although they're going to have to get this rebound. That's the thing. I mean, you've got Tayshaun Thomas at the free throw line. He's only a 55% free throw shooter on the season. So, you know, a lot of times teams think they're automatically going to get the basketball. They forget to block out that ever important free throw block out at the end of games. But Tayshaun Thomas has a couple free throws here he's got to knock down.
He is 5 for 6 from the line tonight, however. And it is indeed DeAndre Daniels back in for UConn, replacing Olander, who fouled out. Houston has only 1 player along the lane to get a rebound. They have Knowles all the way back in a deep safety position. UConn does have a timeout. Will they use it here after a made free throw? 2-point game, 9 seconds left. Here's Napier. Napier gets by Womack, takes it right to the rim. It's blocked. Rebound Womack, fouled by Daniels with 2.3. Still time left. If he hits both free throws, that would, barring something really unexpected, seal it.
The athleticism of the Houston front court. They've wreaked havoc all night. There's two guys, Knowles and Thomas, that had a chance at that block right there.
Thomas got it. Here's the big one right here. This would put it away. Four-point lead for Houston with 2.3 seconds left. Now Kevin Ollie will use the timeout. What a way for Houston to begin play in this brand new conference. James Dickey was kidding us at shoot-around. He said ESPN contacted him in the summer and said, how would you like to play your conference opener on New Year's Eve? He said, I'd love it. He said, they didn't tell me we'd have to play UConn.
What a performance. What a performance by the Houston Cougars. This is a team that's down 3 starters. And they were picked 7th in the American preseason poll. They're down 3 starters. They dominated the first half against Connecticut, but probably more impressive than that is when Connecticut came back and took the lead, Houston stayed grounded, and they were able to finish this game. I mean, it's just been a great effort by James Dickey. James Dickey's team.
UConn trailed by 21 in the first half, trailed by 18 at the half, and came back on a 21-3 run to tie the score at 49 with 12:55 left. And at that point, you figured, well, UConn has the advantage. They're just, first of all, they appear to be a more talented team. They've outplayed Houston. But since then, Houston has hung in there, obviously outscored the Huskies by 4. They eventually surrendered the lead completely. But they could have fallen apart, and they didn't. So now here are a couple of things. Houston has to avoid.
Stay away. Don't foul.
Right.
Stay away, everybody.
They cannot. They shouldn't foul anybody.
Nope. Stay away from everybody on the court.
But especially if somebody takes a 3. Daniels gets it to Napier. Napier will throw up the 3, no good, and Houston has upset UConn in its first game in the American Athletic Conference. Terrific win for the Cougars, who go to 9-5, 1-0 in the brand new league, and they will visit USF on Saturday. UConn falls to 11-2. Elvin Hayes, one of the great Cougars of them all, doing the color on the Houston radio, showing his sign of approval. UConn goes to 0-1 in the league. The Huskies will visit SMU on Saturday at 2 o'clock. So once again, our final score, the Houston Cougars beat 17th ranked UConn 75-71. For Carol Lawson, I'm Bob Picozzi saying so long from Houston. Coming up next, Sports Center. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Good night and Happy New Year.